Barry Murphy joining us here in the studio, and we've got actually a section on gas, a section on electricity. We'll see if it's one or two bits, but obviously gas is what it was. But you renamed your group now, right? You're kind of more general.
We're Moneywatch Isle of Man.
Moneywatch.
But we've been Moneywatch Isle of Man for quite a while now.
I know, but I still remember you from just being solely gas. But you're expanding your interest then into energy.
Well, yeah, we're trying to keep an eye on utility companies in general, really, whether that be gas, electric, telecommunications. Just keep an eye and kind of oversee.
Are you like a pressure group, or you just like to keep them on their toes, sort of thing?
I suppose in an ideal world, there should be no need to keep anyone under pressure or on their toes. But I think it's fairly clear that, here in the Isle of Man, somebody has to keep a little bit of a watch on what's actually going on,
Okay, well, I mean, technically gas is coming down, right? And then electricity is going up, but we'll come to that one. Good news then? I mean, it's not going to be as cheap as it was, I'm sure, but what's your take?
Yeah, so we have Cura, gas regulation. Cura's in charge. They have got 2 fixed price review time scale periods. So they do one in July, I think it's the end of July, and they do another one towards the end of December. And they can also call interim.
Oh, they can?
They can as well, which they had one fairly recently, actually. There was another reduction, wasn't it, in the last sort of 6-7 weeks, which I think has come into play beginning of March. So that's obviously good news. Today, the wholesale price of gas is 117 pence per therm, which again is still moving in a general southerly direction. So that's all good news.
I'm guessing this is because northern hemisphere is coming out of winter and all that sort of thing, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's fair to say, the climate's generally pretty mild. There seems to be less reliance on Russian gas these days. The reserves, from what I understand, wholesale reserves across Europe seems to be very good, quite full, and they expect them to be 100% full towards September. So, in general, wholesale markets for gas are really positive, and I would keep my fingers crossed if I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say we should be hopeful for another small price reduction in gas come July. I genuinely believe that there will be. If it stays going the same way as what it does. Obviously, if it goes the other way...
We're still massively more than we were before this all started, right?
Well, we're 117, so by my memory, that was round about what it was towards the middle of last year. So, was it, middle of last year? No, middle of 2021. Right. Middle of last year was extremely high. So, but I mean, it's 117 per therm. There has been a reduction in the price of gas, and that's great, and hopefully there'll be more to come.
Now, Isle of Man Energy, which was Manx Gas, has had some cutbacks themselves, and what's your take on all this?
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to understand what's going on. There has been a lot of good news on the gas front. As we said, Cura are in place. Gas regulation has been ongoing for over a year now. Cura seem to have public faith and public trust, and just when everything seemed to be great, and there was probably very little need for Moneywatch Isle of Man as a group, we then unfortunately had a situation where Manx Gas decided to rename itself, to completely redo everything it does. It became Isle of Man Energy, and with that came a new billing system. And the new billing system has been dreadful, to put it mildly. I've had problems with the new billing system myself, so it's not even a case that on the group I see other people having the problems and not understanding what the problems are. I had to eventually go to Murdoch House and request a bill, because I hadn't had a bill for so long. The Office of Fair Trading, Isle of Man Office of Fair Trading, have now got an investigation going into what's happened with billing. People aren't getting bills. People don't know what they pay, when they pay anymore.
But you hear these shock ones that someone gets billed thousands of pounds.
There was that in the news, yeah. I mean, there's some very odd things going on. You get people. I was a customer, and I am a customer, but I was on direct debit, and I had £600 approximately removed from my bank account, and I hadn't had a bill. I was very angry, truthfully.
But the regulators asked them to go through everyone, haven't they, now? To all domestic ones.
Yeah, I mean, the regulation, unfortunatately, is a little bit unclear. I think it catches a lot of people out, because Cura are currently only in a position where they can regulate on pricing matters, both existing now and into the future. But when it comes to overseeing what's happening with the billing systems, that's all down to the OFT. So you have a kind of a split down the middle about which one to go to. But there's also a batch of invoices, bills coming out right now that don't have the they got the wrong dates. The billing period is 1900. They've got lots and lots of zeros across the top line. The calorific value is shown as 0, so when they give the multiplication for people to work out if the bill is correct, they can't work that out because obviously everything multiplied by 0 comes out at a 0. So I have no idea. Do I feel a little bit sorry for them? I suppose I do.
It's a new system, was it, that's caused this?
It seems to be. I mean, I suppose it would be a good reason for you maybe to get in touch with them, try to find out what's going on. I mean, because, there's a situation right now where DOFT are very deeply involved trying to sort out all this issue for billing. And as I say, people don't know what they're paying anymore. People don't know, from what I understand, I mean, certainly I've not seen a meter reader for months, if even a year. I used to see the guy when he used to come round because we have to keep the gate closed in our house so the little dog doesn't get out. And so nobody ever comes to the gate anymore to read the meter. I don't know what's going on there, truthfully.
And when the price changes, I mean, I made a note of mine because you meant to tell them, because, when the price comes down, if you make your own meter reading on that day, it should help work out what you should pay on the old rate and the new rate.
Yeah, but you see, I
have not heard back from them since I said
but you see, I don't agree with that either. Why? Since when did we, as Isle of Man Energy customers, become meter readers?
They can't read everyone at the same day, can they? So
well, they can't, but but again, I mean, for many, it's fine to say to go and read the meter. I mean, I could go and read the meter. Oh, you can go and read the meter, but there's lots of customers out there that can't. They don't know how to read the meter. A lot of people, they say. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had the inconvenience of ringing the 6 and all the 4s number with Isle of Man Energy, but you can take an hour, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours.
I tried when the last change came through, and I never got through that. But I suppose everyone else was ringing that same day.
Well, honestly, I've tried it.
An hour, I think.
It doesn't work. And then when I eventually got through, the nice chap on the end of the phone said, submit the reading number online. But that's fine. Look, I can do that, Paul. That's no problem for me. But the problem is some people can't. Yeah. And the question is, why should they?
Okay. Top tip for them, by the way, have a system on the computer when you ring these people and it says your number, whatever, in the queue. Yeah. That would help because you're just told you're in the queue and it goes on and on. It's like some sort of torture. But anyway, that's what I found. Trying to move this on slightly though, are you feeling things are in a better state, bar the billing, for consumers in the Isle of Man for gas on this particular section?
I do. And I think the general feedback from members of the group, because I like to run a little poll as people on there actually really kind of appreciate at this stage. I've always got a poll running, but generally speaking, people seem very happy with it with Cura. I think it was unfortunate that when Cura became the regulator, that the price of gas shot through the roof, quite literally. And of course, then it kind of made it look like all the hard work was in vain, was for nothing. And I know. Looking back in time, there was 1 or 2 people said, look what you've done, we were better off before all of this. But the reality is, it was, I mean, I know it's not my fault, but...
The thing that you brought up and highlighted was how all these different tariffs existed. I remember that huge
was the old
thing.
One, yeah.
That was massive news because our government departments, some of them weren't paying much at all, were they? And others were paying a bit more, but it seemed sort of completely regulated sort of way of doing things.
I think that was actually largely down to Mr. Robertshaw, Chris. I think Chris actually was the one that brought that to the forefront initially, and I jumped on that. I don't know, was it Chris? But I know Chris done an interview on it. But I remember Chris coming in to do an interview. I came in to do an interview on it. That was only part of it. I have actually recently put another freedom of information request in to try and find out how much government departments are paying for gas currently, because obviously that was back in time.
So we don't know if that all got altered and changed?
Well, we don't know because, I was told when I made inquiries that the government were on some kind of a variable rate. Right. And then once the prices went sky high, that they would be expected to go on a variable rate with the higher prices. So they'd actually have to pay a lot more than they were paying back then. In actual fact, I was told they'd have to pay more than what domestic customers were. Right. But 3 weeks ago, I put in an FOI request to the DOI to find out how much the government were paying in their various different offices and hospital, etc., and it came back that they didn't have that information.
I can understand the hospital as one thing, because whatever it is and the amount they use, but you'd have thought that most government departments should all be on the same tariff. I mean, that just seems logical to me.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I'm led to believe by Cura that commercial supplies, whether that be government, if we can think of government as commercial, and private enterprise commercial, that they're on the tariffs that they're on, but nothing that they pay or any amount that they pay is in any way of having an effect on what we pay as domestic customers, whereas before it would have done. That's what I've been led to believe. I don't have the inside knowledge to go and, I mean, to be honest, I could never find out how much a commercial company's paying.
Sure, but the FOI should bring this up. I can't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to give you this information.
Well, I mean, I can go back and try and find out more. I've only had a response in the last few days.
Okay.
So.
Just finally, anything on the Kroger situation? Do you have an opinion as a group or yourself on this drilling for gas in Manx waters?
It's a strange one, that, isn't it? I don't know a great deal about it. I haven't gone to find out a great deal about it. I'm very aware that there's two different feelings running high. Lots of people very pro, lots of people very anti. There's obviously worry that drilling in the Isle of Man sea borders, boundaries, that's going to cause disruption to sea life. It's. But
on the other hand, the coffers of the Isle of Man could be filled quite nicely.
This is it. I mean, this is again going to have to become a government political decision. I don't think the people on the street are going to have much choice in what actually goes ahead with that one. But in the same breath, if we have got, whether we like it or not, we have got a real energy. I'm not going to necessarily say crisis. I think it is becoming a bit of a crisis with the MUA, but at the minute, we have got a situation where gas prices hopefully will continue to come down, and I mean, if they come down and they continue to come down, well, then maybe the necessity for Kroger becomes less and less. But I mean, certainly when gas was running up to 600 pence per therm, as it was going back a year and a half ago or more, we cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore it.
Okay. Anything else on gas before we finish this section?
No, I mean, it's just, I suppose that what our discussions on gas over the years have proven is that regulation works. Utility regulation works, whether that be telecommunication regulation or whether that be gas regulation, it clearly works. Strangely enough, I had a need to contact Cura the other day regarding a slight issue I had with telecommunications regarding one of the local telecommunication firms, and because I've not heard the outcome, I'm not going to mention any names, but Cura were brilliant. It's pick up the phone, send in the complaints and wait to hear, and I do know my complaint has been addressed. Okay. So gas regulation, telecommunication regulation works.
But
so
you had a big thing. I mean, with what was Manx Gas, we're allowed to make X amount of profit and all that. I mean, it's less now, but they still have that in place, do they?
Well, it's a different type, isn't it? They used to.
You're happier then now?
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course we are. I mean, it's a 4.9% WACC now, weighted average capital. I can't think what the other one is now, but it's 4.99, and then they get 2% on the retail market for sales. So, in general, consumers should see in the future big savings. And the way that the profit margins are calculated is different as well now. So it's no longer a question of how much the expenses are. It's more calculated now on the asset value of the actual company.
So you think it's a better deal for the
it's going to be it's difficult to see right now because of what's happened, but it should be in the future, providing wholesale prices continue to come down. It should be much, much, much better.